Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and pause intermittently here and there to talk about things that are going on, to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
This following critical incident briefing is intended to provide briefing
And let's get the boring stuff.
involved amount or with the law. You are about to see of a suspect. Your discretion is advised. On Thursday, September 23rd, 2021, at approximately 4:10 p.m., deputies assigned to Lancaster Sheriff Station responded to a call regarding a man with a gun at Deputy Pierre W. Bain Park. The park is located at 45045 5th Street East in the city of Lancaster. Additional details from the caller indicated the person with the gun was standing next to a white BMW. The male was later identified as 34-year-old Barry Ross.
911, what's your emergency?
Yes, hi. At the Eastside Park in Lancaster, California, there's a white male in a BMW that's white with a black top. He has a black gun.
Where at?
And he's wearing all gray, like a gray tank top and gray shorts and flip-flops and glasses.
Where at?
Huh?
Where is he?
Right now he's walking through the park.
Okay, where? What's the address?
It's the Eastside Park, right here on Island 5th.
Eastside Park?
Yes.
Okay. Where's the gun?
He had it in his hand. I don't know where it is now.
Was he doing anything with the weapon?
It's caught in his pocket. Like, he's acting really strange.
Are you at the Elvis and John? He threaten anybody with it?
Are you at Elvis and John?
Is he doing anything with it?
You know, he's like jiggling like his hand in his pocket with it.
Okay. So do you think the gun's in the pocket?
Yes.
Prior to patrol units arriving at the park, a sheriff's department helicopter was overhead and located a white BMW driving erratically as it left the park. The helicopter followed the vehicle as it drove through several red lights and stop signs. The vehicle ultimately pulled over in a dirt lot located on West Avenue B, just west of Sierra Highway, over 8 miles away from the park. Ross exited the vehicle holding a firearm. He threw the firearm on the ground and began to walk around the property. Ross then picked up the firearm and pointed it at the helicopter and himself several times. Responded up the firearm and
Okay, so up until this point, nothing wrong is going on. A person possessing a gun is not a crime unless that person is a prohibited person, like a felon, or they're possessing that gun in a place that they're not supposed to be possessing it, like inside a school, inside a courtroom, whatever. In a public area, there's nothing against the law about holding a gun or having a gun with you. And I think some people may be at first a little what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe not very happy with how the dispatcher was asking the questions, but there's a reason why the dispatcher was asking, like, well, what's he doing with his gun? Is he doing anything with it? Because they're trying to establish if any crime has been committed. Just merely possessing a gun, there's no crime involved in that. But now he has committed crimes. The driving erratically kind of stuff, not the biggest crime of the century, but now he's picked this thing up and he's pointed at people in the helicopter. Now it's game on.
pointed it at the helicopter and himself several times. Responding deputies requested additional resources, which included less lethal options, an armored rescue vehicle, also referred to as a Bearcat, a mental evaluation team, and deputies from the Special Enforcement Bureau. The deputies inside the helicopter used their public announcement system to tell Ross to drop the firearm and lay down on the ground. Ross refused to comply and continued to point his firearm at the helicopter and in the direction of nearby responding deputies, who were parked about 1 block away on Sierra Highway.
Air 29, give me the patch, please.
Air 29, you're on the patch.
So they're talking about patch, and I'm not too familiar with this, but I believe what they're talking about is they're patching them from one frequency or channel onto another frequency or channel. When you think about radio communications for an area like this in California, around Los Angeles, there are so many police agencies. They all operate on different frequencies and channels. And even for one agency, say the sheriff's office, they don't just have one channel that they all talk on. There's too fucking many of them. They would never be able to effectively communicate with each other if they only had one freaking channel to operate off of. So they've got multiple channels that they operate off of. Same with Los Angeles Police. There's all the different areas in Los Angeles. The Hollywood division, the Newton area, all those. They all have their own channels to be able to operate off of. And if they only had one channel to operate off of, with all the amount of shit that goes on in that city, I mean, I couldn't even imagine that kind of nightmare of only having one channel to talk on in a big area like that. So this patching that they're doing, they're taking the unit from the air who was operating on one frequency or channel, and the dispatcher is on a computer, clicking here, clicking there, and allowing them, when they broadcast on their channel, for it to be able to be broadcast onto an additional channel or frequency for a temporary amount of time. So it's kind of like, I guess you could say it's almost sort of similar to having a three-way call, right? Like your house calls house A, calls house B. All right, that's an established line right there. Well, now house C and D want to be involved in the phone call, so now you can do like three-way, four-way calling and have some additional people in on that phone call. So it's kind of like that.
That 417 vehicle just pulled over at B-Boy, west of Sierra Highway. It looks like he just tossed a firearm in a small property with some RVs. He ran out of his car carrying something that looked like some kind of cover for a firearm, and he just tossed something along the fence line.
Confirm that was B-Boy in west of Sierra for the 417?
Yeah, it's going to be Avenue B-Boy, west of Sierra. It's going to be the first property on the north side. There's a brown wood fence. The suspect is running back to where he tossed what looks like the firearm. Stand by. It's confirmed 417. We do see the firearm. He's walking around the property, male white. He's pointing the firearm at the helicopter. Male white, gray tank top, black shorts. He now has sandals on. He's waving the gun around. Let me get 3 units code. B-Boy, west of Sierra Highway.
So 3, identify.
113 boy.
113 boy, one more unit.
10 Adam.
114 Adam, one more unit.
Okay, Lancaster is walking around very erratic. Let's get the 40. Stun back. He's pointing the firearm at the helicopter again. Let's get less lethal.
Okay, this I have a problem with. If this dude's pointing a lethal weapon at the helicopter, no, the first response is to get rifle out. Fuck stun bags. Like, no, This guy has a gun and he's pointing it at people.
It is a firearm, but let's get prepared. This guy's walking around very erratic.
A few minutes later, a male adult exited a motorhome, which was located on the dirt lot where Ross was standing. Ross and the male began conversing while Ross was still holding the firearm. Fearing Ross would harm the male or take him as a hostage, deputies utilized the armored rescue vehicle and approached the dirt lot. As they approached, Ross pointed his firearm several times at the armored rescue vehicle and himself.
Suspect is still pointing his firearm towards the Bearcat. His gun is facing eastbound.
Hey, Arrow, in the Bearcat, Adam 3, we're going to put out commands in Spanish to both parties, the suspect and the man in checkered.
All right, copy that. We're going to raise our orbit.
Suspect has a firearm placed above his chin. He's pointing it at himself currently. He's walking towards the old man again. He pointed at the Bearcat again.
Deputies utilized the Armored Rescue Vehicle's public announcement system to order Ross to drop the firearm and lay down on the ground, but he refused to comply. Deputies also made announcements instructing the male to walk away from Ross. The male walked towards the rear of the Armored Rescue Vehicle, where deputies opened the rear doors and were able to bring him on board to safety. After the male safely entered the rescue vehicle, Ross took a shooting stance and pointed his firearm directly at a deputy who was positioned in the turret of the Armored Rescue Vehicle, and a deputy-involved shooting occurred.
The detain party said there is no other people on this property.
They're 29 copies. He's leaning across the front hood of that SUV in a firing position. He has his firearm still pointed at you.
Okay, that's sir. We have no ops from inside right now. It's just our current guy at this point.
All right, copy that. Small wood trailer attached to that small silver SUV. He's leaning across the hood, pointing his firearm right at you in a firing position.
But that's sir. We stand by. Got a 998 suspect down. Stand by.
798 suspect is down.
Ross was struck by gunfire and fell to the ground, dropping the firearm. Deputies made a tactical approach and immediately began to render first aid to Ross. Los Angeles County fire personnel who were staged nearby arrived within moments to render medical aid. Ross was transported by ambulance to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. The deputies were equipped with and activated their body-worn cameras at the scene. However, due to the Armored Rescue Vehicle's limited visibility, the cameras did not capture the deputy-involved shooting. The following footage is from the body-worn camera of the deputy involved in the shooting.
Turret's going to move right. We're going to shift left on the ARV.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, code for it. Go.
I'm moving. Trev, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Moving slow.
We're moving, Trevor, we're moving. I'm trying to cover. Are you guys going to make approach on foot from here? Yeah, we're going to make approach on foot from here. You can stop. You can stop. Ready?
Still moving.
Ready? Hey, whoever's all the way on the left, kick that foot out.
Sir, don't move!
No.
Sheriff's Department, do not move!
All right, kick that out. Kick that out.
Gray matter for you parents. Let's roll him over.
Let's do something and check them out. Copy?
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, roll over.
Roll him over. Let's check vitals real quick.
Check vitals. Hey, cover my back.
I got you.
You hold that. I'll hold this.
A loaded polymer 80 Ghost Gun 9mm semi-automatic handgun was recovered at the scene. Ross had previously...
All right, so I'm going to back this up real quick. I thought I heard someone say there's brain matter. Hey, whoever's all the way on the left, kick that foot out.
Sir, don't move!
No.
Sheriff's Department, do not move!
All right, kick that out. Kick that out.
Gray matter for you parents. Let's roll him over.
Yeah, it sounded like someone said there's brain matter right there. So it sounded like they get a good headshot on this guy.
Let's do something and check them out. Copy?
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, roll over.
Roll him over. Let's check vitals real quick.
Check vitals. Hey, cover my back.
I got you.
You hold that. I'll hold this.
A loaded polymer 80 Ghost Gun 9mm...
All right, so the Ghost Gun. It seems like California is the hotbed for ghost guns. And our area, I mean, It's not like in California where it seems like almost all their damn videos involve a freaking ghost gun. So what is a ghost gun? A ghost gun is this bottom piece right here. So according to firearms regulations, this lower piece right here is the firearm part. This top piece, the slide, the thing that moves back and forth when you shoot it, that's not considered the firearm. The bottom piece right here. So this line that you see right here, imagine this whole top part is gone. And all you're left with is what is below this line. This is the firearm piece. So when a company builds a firearm, this bottom piece has a serial number on it. And when it's sold at a gun shop, the paperwork that the dealer fills out has a serial number on it and who bought it. A ghost gun is a kit. It is this piece that is sold, and you can see this hole. There's a hole right there, and there's a hole right there. When this piece of plastic is sold, those holes are not there at all. They're filled in. So technically, when you buy this lower piece, and it don't have the internals in it as well, so it don't have a trigger in it. It's just this little piece of plastic with no holes drilled into it. So when you buy that, it's legally not considered a firearm. It's just a piece of plastic that's shaped like the lower part of a firearm. So that is a quote-unquote loophole, I guess you could say, for people to get these things. Well, when they buy these, it also comes with a little jig set that you plop this piece of plastic down into, and it holds it very rigidly. And then all you got to do is take a drill press, hold it over the place that guides you where to drill down into, and zip, zip, drill holes. Then you can drop your parts into this lower piece and put this top part on there, and voila, you've got a working gun. So when they sell these like this, because it's not a firearm, they're not required to put a serial number on it. So the absence of the serial number is what makes these things be called ghost guns. All right, so going back to the firearm dealer will take that gun, record the serial number on the paperwork, record the name of the person buying it, and then they put it in the filing cabinet. And they got to keep that for so many years. And when the ATF says they want to look at it, then, you know, during business hours, they have to so much time be able to furnish to ATF any records for them to inspect. There is no national database that serial numbers go into, and there fucking never should be. So there's an estimated, I forget how many guns are estimated to be here in the U.S., but the U.S. is projected to have over half of the world's firearms, and out of all those guns, millions are legally bought every year, or millions of them are just legally purchased guns through over the years that people have bought from gun stores. There are people who own guns that they legally bought at a gun store several years ago, that the people in that gun store, after that period of time of having to be required to keep paperwork, they've destroyed that paperwork. They shredded it, threw it in the dumpster, set it on fire, whatever, because they're no longer required to keep that paperwork. So there's people who bought a gun legally 15 years ago, and there's no record at a gun shop showing that they bought that gun from there. Now, the people themselves may keep their receipt or something like that, but there's nowhere else that shows that this Glock 17 serial number, blah, 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 is tied to this person. Even right now, when you go to a gun store to buy a gun, and your name and that gun, make, model, serial number is recorded, that paperwork, it just goes into the gun dealer's filing cabinet. It does not get transmitted anywhere. So this whole dog and pony show of, oh my god, it's a ghost gun, it don't have a serial number on it, it means fucking nothing, because all the other legal guns that have fucking serial numbers on them, it don't mean shit. That's not in a database anywhere. There's some people who've legally bought their guns and there is no record at all that this gun, Glock Model 17, Generation 3, serial number ABC123, is tied to them. Nothing exists. So what the fuck does it matter if the gun has a serial number on it or not? It doesn't. But that's the anti-gun people. The reason why they bitch about that is because of their ultimate motivation is to get a national database to record names of people and what guns they own. That's what they want. They want a fucking national database detailing every single person in this country who owns a gun and what gun they own, how many guns they own. Like I said, that should never happen. I hope it never happens. If it does happen, then it would be very easy for the next person to become the next Hitler and then go round up all the people one by one, systematically, find out who's got the guns, and go storm those places. Or send them letters. Hey, turn your guns in, or we're sending in the SWAT team. We know where you live. And then masses of people will be victimized. There will be genocide at that point.
Semi-automatic handgun was recovered at the scene. Ross had previous convictions for narcotics-related offenses.
Hey, all right. Talking about his previous convictions, adding some context. I like this. So, Los Angeles police, they had done that once before, and I think it's like maybe a year or two back, where they had included information about a person's criminal background, and then they abruptly stopped. And then I read an article, they had talked about it, and they were basically doing that because, it was, I forget how it was worded, but, it was being seen as negative. How's it negative? It's informing the public that a piece of shit was acting as a piece of shit and then died. So this guy has previous convictions for narcotics-related offenses, theft, burglary, and domestic battery. How many of those he's had, I don't know. I have no idea. Narcotic-related offenses, that means that's multiple. Theft, burglary, and domestic battery, the way those are worded is singular, so that could have been a one-time deal for theft, burglary, and domestic battery, or there could have been other multiple ones involved. The time frame involved, I don't know. They haven't mentioned it. They might mention it, I don't know. But time frame involved is, some of these things could have been very recent, and because of stupid liberal policies and how they are wanting to change the criminal justice system, could have been that this guy was very recently picked up for one of those things and then given a reduced bail or something and it was put on the street. Or he was convicted of it and was given a reduced sentence. Instead of being sentenced to 10 years or 5 years, they could have given him a reduced sentence of you spend 1 year in jail and then you have 2 years probation or, something goofy like that. And what that would mean is that if he was originally given the full sentence, then it's possible that this never would have happened. His ass would have been sitting in prison where his ass belongs. Unfortunately, that is a very common theme all across this country. Dirtbag criminals being released from jail early, being given reduced bonds immediately after being fucking arrested, being given light sentencing when they've been found guilty of stuff. Instead of giving them the maximum amount of time, they give them a reduced amount of time and then tell them they're going to be on probation and parole. Or be on probation. Some of them will, let's back that up. Some of them will admit guilt, be found guilty, but because of a pretrial diversion kind of thing going on, instead of them spending time in prison, they just give them probation time. Like, all right, well, instead of you doing 2 years in jail, we'll give you probation, and you be good for those 2 years, and if you don't have any new crimes, we'll say this whole thing's pretrial diverted, it won't count against you, and then you're free to go about doing whatever. So there's that. They could be sent to prison and then be given early parole. So, all right, you've been sentenced to 10 years, but hey, it's been 2 years. You've been really good since you've been here. We're going to let you go. But, you still got a couple years of supervised release. You do good on that, and then, you're free. So there's a lot of that shit that goes on. And there's a lot of people who have multiple prior arrests and convictions who are given chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance, and they keep fucking blowing it. And they do stupid shit like this. There are a lot of cops out there across our country who get involved with very violent offenders who, when you look into the details of it, those offenders should have been in prison. They should have been locked the fuck away, but they were out on bond. They were out on early probation, early parole. It was out on probation. They were given sweet plea deals and allowed to be on the street, when instead their ass needed to be locked away in a fucking cage. There are some people who are no better than fucking dogs, and they need to be kept in the dog pen. That's it. They don't need to be walking with us. This dude did not need to be out there with us. This dude was a clear and present danger to society. This dude was fucked up. But the soft-hearted liberals think otherwise. They think people should be given multiple chances, and that people like him are victims. Oh, he has drug addiction problems. He has mental health problems. He's a poor victim. We got to get rid of that fucking mindset. Because you know where that mindset's leading to? That mindset is leading to making it okay for pedophilia. 30-year-old guy fucking a little 9-year-old girl. It's going to turn into, oh, he's the victim. We don't need to lock him away forever. He's a victim. He was abused as a kid. He's a victim. We need to give him services. We need to give him mental health services and let him out. That's where that shit's leading to. You know what? And if some 30-year-old guy was touched when they were a kid, that sucks. I hate it for them. But the minute they fucking put their dick in a little kid or touch a little kid's booty hole, fuck them. Their ass needs to be fucking locked away for life. Actually, something else needs to happen to them, but I can't say that because that would be a strike against my channel. And I don't want any strikes against my channel. So I can't really say what should really happen to motherfuckers like that. Other than to say they just need to be locked away in prison for a very long time. But just know that something else needs to happen to them. I just can't say it. But yeah, this mindset of the criminals being the victims is fucking stupid. And it's being preached by people who have no idea what the hell they're talking about. These are people who've spent the majority of their time in academics. They've just been in college. They've sat in a fucking classroom the majority of the time. They've worked in office settings. They have not got out and worked the streets. They have not got out and worked the floor. They're completely oblivious to reality. They have no fucking clue what really goes on. They live in La La Land. They are visited by the good idea fairy. I could go on with a rant like that, but yeah, this dude, he's a shitbag.
Theft, burglary, and domestic battery. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has begun a thorough and in-depth investigation. Homicide investigators will continue to...
All right, so that looks like the end of that. Nothing else to review. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.